Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Gano, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guests today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back into some more bite-sized business advice. And today's episode, we're talking all things websites. If you've listened to the show for more than 3 seconds, you know that I hate websites, but I find them fascinating. I just know nothing about them. So this will be fun. I have an awesome guest with me, and we're going to talk about trends in websites for 2025 and also adding a human touch to your websites, which I think is super important. And look, I love humans too. It's lighted up on my wall. Lindy Nowak, welcome to the show, and thank you for being here.
Thanks, Brandon. I am excited to have this discussion today.
Same. So all things websites, a topic that scares me, but talk to me about the trends a little bit. So the world is in disarray. I think, well, at least America is. You're actually traveling across the world right now, so you could speak to that a little bit better than I can. But how can we talk about trends when everything is in an uproar? Where do we ground ourselves for this conversation?
Oh, for sure. That's such a good question. And yes, I did escape for a few months, but I will be back to Miami. So we had a discussion just before we went live. And one of the topics I think you and I will dive into is when it comes to websites and visiting websites and you're shopping your competitor or shopping different websites, looking for services, even products. I feel like in 2025, there's going to be so much AI that we're going to get confused. We're not sure, like, is the image AI? Is it real? Is it copy AI? Like, what's real? What's organic? What's not? And then all of a sudden we're not sure if we're believing what we're reading. And that's a huge concern, I think, especially when it comes to business websites, whether you're micro, solopreneur, small, even medium size. What is really authentic and organic. And so we've been doing a lot of research at my company, Up in a Day, so we can prepare for our clients for 2025 when they come in the door. And some of the things that we're seeing come into play are this kind of human touch, not just on websites, but also through marketing. So you and I are sitting here, we're on video. We're obviously not sitting in a studio setting. It's not professionally lit, but this kind of like real feel, this organic, this like maybe we have a couple bloopers, like this kind of like talking to our ideal audience, educating them, kind of being real, transparency, that kind of feeling that you want to evoke, but you also want to be very professional when you're talking about your brand and representing your brand with the right voice, obviously, and with poise. When it comes to websites, same thing, thinking about, the type of imagery we're using. Maybe it's a good idea to invest in a photo shoot of our team, whether it's on the about page or depending on what the business is. Maybe it goes throughout the website. For example, on our website, we're getting our team together and we're going to be doing a photo shoot of the team me working, and just instead of the stock photography, like bringing that actual like real human element into it, but actually getting it professionally shot. Some other trends that I'm seeing which I think is really interesting and something I just tried on our website is to create almost like one-page sales pages. I'm not sure if you've heard about this. It's getting pretty trendy now, but for the business owner or the decision maker to literally get in front of the camera and speak to their ideal audience and putting that on the website as almost either an individual sales page, depending on what type of marketing you're doing, or paid advertising even, and even transferring that video over to your website where it makes sense. So it's really interesting, some really interesting things that we're thinking about for 2025.
Yeah, that one's really cool. I want to come back to that because I've seen in the past, there were the trends of websites with drop-down menus with 100 different things, and you have to navigate it as the user, and it's confusing, but we're expecting people to go there and shop like a store because that's the environment that we were in. Nowadays, we've been online and e-commerce has been around for so long. It's like, if I don't see what I'm looking for in 5 seconds, I'm leaving and going to another website. But so I want to put a pin in that and come back, because I think what you said before that at the beginning of your answer was far more important. And all I heard you say was, people don't trust the websites they're going to. With the generation of AI images, text, even videos now, the AI videos are awful. Don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those people that gets confused, but there's a lack of trust. And I think we've seen that too. And a lot of the big celebrity entrepreneurs, and screw it, the election, it doesn't matter what side you voted for. You were lied to in some capacity. And I think as human beings, we feel a lack of trust and connection with people. So is that what you're saying you help people with, is to build that human connection when they get onto a website? And how do you do that?
Yeah, we do. So let me back up. So what we do, we build websites for micro businesses, small businesses, and we build them fast. But part of what we deliver is a website that has messaging laid out succinctly, strategically, so that when somebody's coming to the website for the first time, second time, in the consideration phase, they're obviously skimming the website, because you have anywhere between 3 and 7 seconds to capture your audience attention, to connect, relate, and how hopefully they convert in some way or another. So that's why I think that messaging is ultra important. And that's really what we focus on, aside from design. Yes, we're great designers, but really it's the messaging and then the design along with that. Bringing in video just helps capture your audience even more. Knowing that if you are bringing in video, and let's say it's going on the homepage, just below the homepage header, and it's you or someone on your team speaking, having captions is like mega important, because a lot of people are on their phones, or they're in a situation, or they're walking, or whatever they're doing. They're probably doing 3 things at once. They're probably, if they can't hear the video, it's good to have the captions, or it's good to have some text on the side. So.
Okay. And the raw video, like you said too, where it's relatively unpolished, like we are here. Rather than done up in a studio, because it has to match your brand too. I mean, that has to be a consideration. If you're a highly polished brand and you have raw video, I actually think that does you a disservice versus the other way around. So do you help people with that process too?
Yeah, absolutely. We consult them on where to go. Yes, I'm actually in the position, depending on the business, but I always try to influence our clients to go with a professional videographer in a professional setting, even if they're just renting a mini studio or a room in a co-working space, something where there's professional lighting and you have a professional microphone and it really reflects your brand. Because again, if you show up with your hair all tousled, or you don't have makeup on, or you're not like wearing an outfit that reflects your brand and who you are and what you provide, then yeah, it definitely does you a disservice. Absolutely. I'm a big proponent of that, because we're talking about branding. If, when we're building websites and we get a kind of a crappy video, or a video that's just like not that great, even if it sounds great, but it's poorly lit, that is unfortunate for the design, for sure. When we're approaching it from a design aesthetic for the website, we have this big, beautiful website, or a small, beautiful website, and then we have this video that just looks kind of 50%.
I just want to be clear with the audience. I am not wearing makeup today. So if that's important to you, I'm not your guy, but I can't fit into that part of the brand, Lindy. Okay. It's not my style. But outside of that, let's go back to the conversation about individual landing pages, so to speak, because I kind of want to talk about this from a number of different angles, and we have like 5 minutes left, so we're going to cram them all into 5 minutes. But we've heard people say, the riches are in the niches, and I really hate that statement. I'm just going to come out and say it bluntly. But you don't have to niche down if you follow this strategy. I think, at least. And I've seen that with success with my own companies, with other companies. And I'm curious to your perspective on it. So talk to me about, what are these singular landing pages that make up a big website, and does that apply, or am I crazy?
I think that it makes sense to have a singular one-page sales page website. I'm not a big proponent, if you have a business, of just having that and just a video of you. You would use this one page as a sales tool. So you're not asking someone to go to this big website to learn more. You're just getting to the point. If you're, for example, let's say you're selling one service, one product, or you have an offer that you're trying to get across, that would belong in like a one page video landing page. And then of course, linking out to your professional business website.
Right. That makes sense. And I support that. So how do we set up the broader marketing strategy so that no matter where we're reaching people, we send them to the page that we want them to land on, and we start them on the journey that we want them in?
That is a really great question. I would say it depending on what marketing channel you're using, paid, organic, unpaid, whatever you choose. Let's say, for example, let's use an example. Let's use LinkedIn. And let's say you're on LinkedIn and you're doing LinkedIn outreach for your service. Rather than, you need something to get a hold of these people, because they're getting inundated with messages all day long. And so you really want to capture them. So the moment you have their attention, the last thing they're going to want to do is go to your website and like read it. Even if your website is simple, you want to connect with them with a video that speaks directly to the problems that they have and how you solve it. And if you can do that in under a minute and a half, then you have a high level of a success rate right there for sure. Because again, you want to connect, relate, and then convert your ideal client for sure. And for a lot of us in the service-based business, when we are making that connection, to actually convert them to a sale is usually a phone call. So if that's your conversion method, to get them on the phone, and you use that through video, people want to see you, hear your voice, especially if you're the one that they're speaking with or working with once they decide to buy.
So I want to play devil's advocate a little bit, because there are people who are self-labeled as introverts. I'm using air quotes. And that would make them run to the bathroom for a week to think that they have to be on video and the whole world could see it. So what do you do with those people? How do you help them? Are there alternate strategies, or do you just say, suck it up, buttercup?
Oh, I'm not a big suck it up, buttercup. I'm not a huge proponent of these. The sales videos are specifically to use for individual sales. So if you have someone's attention, you can send it to them. Or if it's a bigger like funneling page, then you can use that to the masses as well. But I used to be an introvert, and it took me years to get in front of the camera. I'm still nervous right now, just talking to you. And it took me a year just to make our sales video up in a day. So other options could be, just having a really strong homepage. If you can capture your audience on your homepage, do some A/B testing, have 2 homepages, then kudos, that's amazing. Or you could have, for example, on your homepage or an individual sales funnel landing page, a photo of you and some facts, making it really easy to digest, to skim, what your offer is, like who it's for, what it looks like, and the ROI that they come out with. Because people will read at the end of the day if they're curious enough, or if they're in a position of like, I need this, where can I get it? Oh my gosh, you just fell in my lap. Wow. And they're going to want to know more.
Yeah, I think that's where we go back to the earlier conversation of AI, right? And spotting AI and adding the human touch. If you don't have a video, how do you make sure it still feels human? And then the flip side of that is, as the consumer, how can we spot AI generated websites? Because some of them are like, some of this content is really good. So how do we know the difference?
Depends on the industry, the business, the AI tool being used, and if it was finesse. But in short, I would say, how do you get around? How do you recognize like real organic content? I think if you're reading it, like, and you can skim it and you understand it, it feels like someone's talking to you, or it feels like it was almost like meant to speak directly to you, because I feel like AI, it's so good. And I am a huge proponent of AI, especially writing AI copy. So this conversation is not about me being anti at all. It's just about how do we work together? How can we marry the two? So when you're on a website and you're questioning it, just dig a little bit deeper. I always recognize AI. I don't know about you, is when you start seeing repeated, like you'll see a sentence and it'll have like X, X, and X, 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 and X. And it's really wordy. You see a lot of ands, you see a lot of A's. So if you're looking at a website and it seems really wordy and you're like sweating, like I'm never going to get through this, chances are it's just hasn't been buttoned up, whether it's from AI or not. But that's typically how I recognize. And I think just being short and punchy and, using messaging that reflects your brand, obviously in your brand voice, but you also coupling it and being ultra aware of your ideal client, even if you service like 20 industries. Just being really real and upfront and really professional, but also what state of mind are your website visitors coming to your website? Are they like ready to buy because they just saw you on social media, what you're selling, and they're like, let's do this? It's all wrapped around your marketing efforts. Truly, what are you selling right now? And then when they get to your website to convert, it needs to be there, ready to go. Or if you don't have it, you're not doing a lot of marketing and you're just relying on your website and maybe a newsletter, then when they get to the website, just being ultra clear about, again, what do you speaking directly to them? Like what tone do you want to speak to them in, depending on what their state of mind is when they get to your website. And just transparency is everything. What are you selling, right? Who it's for, maybe touching on like what they're going through, like their pain point, and then what it looks like to buy it, like what does it look like at the rainbow end, and the ROI. Just short and sweet.
Because we're goldfish and we don't have a very long attention span, which I actually think is a myth, because if you capture somebody's attention, you do have their attention, but if you don't, they're never going to get to the end of that rainbow, so to speak. So there's a lot of craftsmanship there, and I believe Lindy is the person that can help you do it. So I want to hear a little bit. I'm going to put your website on the screen for those of you listening. It's in the show notes down below. But tell me about Up in a Day, because this seems impossible to me. You actually put websites up in a day, like the name of your company?
Yes, sometimes we do have to do a website in a day, and we're fully equipped for that. And yes, we are real people behind the company. We are not AI. So this is like perfect topic of conversation. We have to be real, actually, because now AI is like, I'll build you a website. No, you try. So what we do is we build custom professional websites for solopreneurs and micro and small business owners. And yes, we build them quickly. So I started Up in a Day about 6 years ago. I saw a huge gap in the market to help small business owners get really great websites up, because we have the big agencies that are really, really expensive, and they cater to other big agencies, and they tend to take a long time to get your website done. Then we have the freelancers, and these freelancers are really great too, but sometimes they disappear, or sometimes they don't understand your industry. They don't understand how to approach your messaging on the website, right? They tend to be really great designers, but what's in the middle? Who's there for these micro business owners? It could plumbers, coaches, consultants, health and wellness, dentists, etc. Like, who's there for them to go to in order to get a really great website or website redesign done quickly without the headache, because we're busy business owners, right, Brandon? We have like a million marbles going on up in our head. And what happens is the last thing we want to really approach is our website, because it's daunting. It seems like so much work. So that's why I started Up in a Day, to truly help these small business owners get websites done the right way the first time. And yes, we get a lot of tech startups coming to us because they're going for their next series of funding. And they're like, oh, we need a website. Our funding. That's typically, or we'll get a lot of, for example, like other marketing agencies or consultants who are going after a new market for the next quarter. And they come to us and are like, oh my gosh, we need to redesign our website immediatamente. So that's who we typically cater to. Or those like come to us and they're like, we're not in a rush, but we just want to work with you. And we know you're going to get it done quick.
Yeah, it's like the Amazon of websites, right? You have to pay for Prime 2-day websites. I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
No, totally. When I first started Up in a Day, I was like, oh my gosh. I remember the day I came up with the idea, I was like, you know what? In the days of the buy it now button, why aren't there website agencies that can do the same thing? So that's one way Up in a Day started.
That's funny. That's the strategy that I leveraged to grow and sell my last company. There was that same hole. It was, this whole industry takes 3 weeks to move. Can we do it in like 3 days? And yeah, if you fill that hole in the marketplace, people will pay for it because people want it now. But I want to highlight that too, because a lot of people say, oh, freelancers are cheap. Or I mean, not a whole lot of people run to the big agencies unless you are a big company, but freelancers are like, they're like machines, right? When you press the button, you get the same output every time. So whatever you put in, you get out. If you haven't thought about your brand and your brand voice and everything Lindy talked about, you're going to get crap in, crap out. So I love the approach you take to this. And it's so important with websites, marketing, branding, anything that's going to represent you to the public. Please do it right. Go hire a professional. And her contact information is down below. So Lindy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. What a fun conversation.
For those of you listening, we'll see you on tomorrow's episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Harmonious at Lunch podcast. Make sure you subscribe on whatever platform you're on, and we want to invite you to join us in the Small Business Success Facebook group, our private group where guests and listeners come together to grow your business. We want impact-driven entrepreneurs who are ready to go to the next level in this group so we can all share ideas, collaborate, and grow our businesses together. Go to whatif.com/group, and we want to invite you to join today. See you on the next episode of Harmonious at Lunch.